The king in the north! The king in the north!
Yo, as always, like, share, subscribe. Now let's just get into it. So today I wanted to talk about the receiving core. I told you I was going to do the skill positions and most of the position groups. So today is the receivers. Now, with that being said, me looking at the receiving room, and just seeing the way this team is constructed, it's important, imperative, all those words, to get the most out of what you have right now. Because Michigan has a lot of upperclassmen in the receiving room. So the offense in general this is the time you need to maximize all these receivers that are very capable, and with a good offensive line, with two good running backs. So if one of them gets, well, we're saying Donovan Edwards will be good, but you know what I'm saying. We know what we see. So with two running backs, so if one gets hurt, you still got another guy that can still do his thing. So with this offense looking like it's going to be this potent, you got to maximize having all these talented receivers before they start leaving, because some of them got extra years because of COVID or whatever, and this is that year. So you got to make the most out of it. Now, of course, I can't talk about the receivers without talking about the quarterback. Now, I would like JJ to be the starter, and it's not likely he will be, knowing Harbaugh, but who knows? Now, the main thing about this offense that I say with the receiving core, and I'm just going to run down some of the receivers that I feel like will play quite a bit. So I'm going to start with Cornelius Johnson, senior, 6'2", 211, had 657 yards last year. I expect him to take the step to being that dude. I expect him to take that next step. There's no excuse for him not to be unguardable this year. There's no excuse for it. He needs to take that next step. He showed flashes last year, but it wasn't consistent. I think he would start pouting sometimes. Ronnie Bell, senior. We only saw Ronnie Bell last year. Got that big touchdown catch, got hurt. Ronnie Bell has all the intangibles, everything you need to be that go-to guy. I think his last full year he had almost 900 yards receiving. That's a lot of production. We will see if he gets his mojo back, because just because you're back from injury and you're healthy doesn't mean that you trust yourself all the way. Doesn't mean you trust yourself through contact, everything like that. So we'll have to wait and see what Ronnie Bell will be. At least that's what I say. Roman Wilson, who's a junior, 25 catches last year, 420 yards, 3 TDs, 6 foot 180. He probably weighs more than that, but that's just what's listed. He's a burner, can get deep, and can make big catches. All these dudes I expect to be better. So, senior, Mike Sanger still. We know he's playing on defense, but he's still going to play on offense because he's a great run blocker also. And he's kind of clutch. He'll make the catches. He's 5'10", 185, at 305 last year, 2 TDs. Now, the young dudes, sophomore Andrell Anthony, we saw his breakout game against Michigan State. He had 245 or something, 200 yards almost. He's 6'2", 185, so a big dude. He had 12 catches on the year, 3 TDs. I expect him to get more playing time. He should take that next step. He said last year it was the playbook and, getting accustomed to being in college, everything they have to do along with football, the classes, the schedules, learning the new playbook. So he should be ready to go and be even better next year or this year. Now we got Darius Clemens, freshman, 6'5", 205. Yeah, or is that 6'3"? But either way, he's a big dude. But it's 6'3", 6'5", I believe it's 6'3". I can't see their handwriting right, but I believe it's 6'3", 205. But he's a beast. We saw him in the spring game catch a touchdown. So all these dudes I just named, they're all talented, all can do different things, and there's no excuse for this. For the past game, this is what we need to happen, at least out of one of these dudes. One of these dudes needs to be that dude. Where Cade, no matter what's going on, what's going bad, what's going good, what's no matter what, where he can say, I'm coming to you, offensive line, give me enough time to get it to him, or JJ, whoever is the quarterback, offensive line, give me enough time, I'm going to you. And it's money. It's money. It don't matter what's going wrong with the defense or anything else. These two are are synced in, laser focused, and they're going to get it done. Somebody has to take that next step to be, I'm that dude. They got a great cornerback on the other side. I don't care. He's barbecue chicken because he's going against me. Cade, put it where I need it. JJ, put it where I need it to be. So that's the one thing that I say the team was missing last year, and it could have been because of Ronnie Bell was missing. But that was what was missing for the most part, is that go-to, I'm that dude. One of these guys has to get 1,000 yards. And this is, for me to say this is just, if we want to reach what we want to reach, the playoff, the national championship, win the national championship, you got to have a go-to receiver. Great teams or great offenses, they have 2 go-to receivers. Most of the teams that we see win national championships, they got a true number 1, and then they got a number 2 that's a beast too. So if the number 1 goes down, he steps right into the number 1 role. That most great teams have that, or great offenses. So that's just what needs to happen. Now, also with the tight ends, luckily we have Eric All, who's a senior, 6'4", 245, had 437 yards last year, 2 TDs. Eric All can also be that go-to dude, that safety blanket. He should be looking at Jake Butt videos and saying, I'm about to be him. That's me. Or I guess you could say even Devin Funches. I mean, he's not that talented, but who is? Devin Funches was a freak of nature. But he should be saying, I'm going to be that dude, that go-to dude, where he's at 400 last year. He should be at 700, 800 with one of these receivers that I just named reaching 1,000 yards or close to it. There's no excuse for us not to be. Somebody just has to take the reins and become that dude. Like that's just all there is to it. So with me looking at the roster, and the one thing that really that I noticed is the yards per catch were quite kind of ridiculous from last year. Roman Wilson yards per catch was 16.8. Shane Restill 14.5. Andrell Anthony 20.7. And for those that don't know, those are big averages. Now they didn't have a ton of catches, which I guess that kind of takes it down because we run a lot. Then you come with the play action and these deeper passes. But that's just, they were getting downfield. That's what those numbers tell me. Now, I can't talk about the receivers without talking about the quarterbacks a little bit more. Now, with all that being said, and shout out to Greg Saudi on this because he was texting me this the other day. Cade left a lot of yards on the field. So I know people are going to say, well, you said in the other video we were going to run for 3,000. How we going to do that? And the receivers going to have, it's a lot of snaps on a football game and a lot of chances for yardage. It's just, are you leaving yards on the field? Are you punting when you had a receiver wide open, but you chose to throw it underneath and you were happy to punt because you didn't see him wide open or you missed him wide open for a touchdown? There was a lot of that going on last year. Even with the success we had, which is what's crazy. Cade was missing dudes running wide open almost every game. That's what's wild about last year. So, not only that, Cade had 15 passing touchdowns last year. 15 passing touchdowns. And a lot of them came in a couple games. So, he wasn't throwing a lot of touchdowns last year. He didn't 15 touchdowns. It's guys on teams that throw 15 touchdowns in 3-4 games. So that's another thing that has to be, because we had red zone woes early on last year, and Hassan Haskins and Gaddis kind of figured it out like, oh, maybe I should run play action in the red zone. Maybe I should do bootlegs in the red zone, which should have been, but that's Gaddis. Should have been obvious, but you got to get the ball in the end zone, passing it. You got to get the ball in the end zone. So, regardless, you got dudes 6'2", 6'3", you can throw it up to these dudes. Like, not scoring in the red zone with this much talent or not getting passing touchdowns, it's unacceptable. So, if Cade is the starter and we're struggling in the red zone or anything like that, Harbaugh needs the leash needs to be extremely short on him. And I'll say like Kelly Bryant and Trevor Lawrence. Harbaugh needs to play this year like Dabo played that year, because you got too much talent on offense. You've got a lot of talent on defense. Hopefully it meshes. I was listening to RJ Moten talk earlier, and he said everything's the same from last year because Jesse Minter, Mike McDonald both coached for the Ravens. That means they're close enough to talk about their defensive schemes, and so he didn't change anything. He kept the same scheme, so it's not learning anything. So that's that. So you got a chance with this much talent on offense to actually maybe accomplish something right now. So you can't let one player hold it back because, oh, he took us to the playoff last year. He only threw 15 touchdowns last year, bro. Like, I'm just going to be real on what's going on. He threw 15 touchdowns, bro. I can't think of any game he won on his own or he put him on his back. And I know people are going to say, well, the Penn State game, Eric All runs a drag route. The corner and the other defender run into each other. He's wide open. I could have threw that. And I know you're going to say, no, I could have threw that. I could have threw it. He's wide open for like 5 yards. Nobody's in front of him. He takes it 40. Let's just be real. So I don't think there's any game on our schedule that Cade actually won where I can say, okay, he put us on his back and he actually won this game for us. Maybe Wisconsin, he made some big throws in the Wisconsin game. But But for the most part, I don't think there's any game where I said JJ couldn't have made that throw. There was no game where I said that. Because JJ can make all the throws. So that's just where I'm at with it. Like, I know how Harbaugh is, so I'm expecting Cade to probably start. But his leash on Cade has to be short. If Cade comes out and he looks like he did in the spring game, in any game, especially if it's early in the year, sit him down. Sit him down and let's move on, because we got too many options. JJ with his legs, his arm, he opens up too many things to have Cade in there looking like he's a fish out of water. Just like what game was this? The Washington game. 44 yards, 7 of 15, 44 yards. We won that game in spite of Cade. And people going to say it was the corners. Ain't no corners that good. Ain't no two corners that good to where I'm 7 of 15 for 44 yards. Especially when I can run 5 wide. That ain't no damn corners. That's just I'm scared to let this dude throw. That's all that is. Rutgers, 9 of 16, 163. We almost lost that game. Nebraska, I guess this is an all right game. Nebraska, 255, 22 of 38, no touchdowns a pick. He don't have no touchdowns in a lot of these games. You know, this ain't, I'm just saying, bro. Like, so me just looking at it, it's just like, bro, this year you got the chance to beat Ohio State back to back. Recruits are watching. I'm going to say this and I'm going to get off of here. Recruits are watching. So if you want to get your next quarterback behind JJ, you got to start putting up some passing yards, because we've got some receivers from the last few classes. So we're kind of straight at receiver, even though we're going to lose a nice amount of receivers. So we still need more. But the quarterback for the future, for 3 and 4 years from now, you got to get that quarterback. And to get him, you got to put up some passing yards. You can win most of your games just running the ball, game manager. You can win most of your games. You maybe can even win the Big Ten, but you're not going to win the national championship. You probably won't even win a playoff game like that, because those teams at the top, they're too good. You're going to need a quarterback that can put a team on his back with his arm, and you've got enough talent at receiver to do that. You've got enough talent here, I believe. But you got to have a quarterback that's not afraid to make big-time throws. Cade seems like he's afraid to make big-time throws, or it gets in his own head half the time. I don't know what it is, which one it is, but it's something. So if you want to get to that next level, you got to go and take the chance and put the young kid in with all the talent, while you have a ton of talent around him. See, now if the receivers and if this was a young offense with a young offensive line, I would say, yeah, stick with Cade. But you've got maybe one of the best offensive lines in the country. You've got a receiver room full of seniors and juniors. You've got two senior tight ends. You got a junior running back with a sophomore running back. Your whole offense is loaded. Put the young dude in. Put him in. Ain't no point of holding him back at this point. Cade did a beautiful job last year being a game manager, can't take away what he's did. But we want to get to the next level. JJ putting up numbers puts you on the next level, not nationally, because if let's say this, if JJ is what we think he is, and he's throwing for 300, he's running for 50, and we just scoring like crazy because he's going to open up the running game, and we're scoring 45, 50 a game no matter who it is, Michigan will be in the spotlight. When Michigan does well, we're in the spotlight. So if he's shredding teams and we're putting up numbers every time, he's going to be in the spotlight. Heisman, all that gets recruits. All that spotlight, all that fanfare, it gets recruits. So you need it. It's just, I can sit on here and talk about all day why you need to play this dude. But it's going to be on hardball. You held yourself back being stubborn with Don Brown. You held yourself back way too long. No, I'm not going to say you held yourself back. You held your team back for too long riding with Don Brown just because you liked him. This game is about more than liking somebody. It's about what's best for the team. You can quote Bo all day, but you don't want to go by what Bo said. So you have to do what's best for the team, what's going to take the team the furthest. Not only this year, but for the future. Put the man in the game. Put JJ in the game, and let's just move on. That's what you got to do it. But that's all I got for this one, y'all. One of these receivers somebody's got to be that go-to dude. Hopefully it's two. But honestly, between Ronnie Bell, Cornelius, I expect Cornelius to be either the number one, number two, not just in what they being on the field, but in actual stats. I just don't know who that number two will be or that number one. Will it be Andrell Anthony? Will it be Roman Wilson? Roman Wilson is slick a stud. Or will it be Ronnie Bell? Will he be back in the form? Or will it be Darius Clemens? Because they saying like he the truth. So I'm not sure. I don't expect it to be Sanders still since he's playing on defense. He ain't going to be playing all day on both sides. But that's just what I got. Somebody's got to take that next step. And hopefully you get those two dudes that take that next step to somebody getting 1,000 and somebody being right behind them with 800-900 yards. Or will it be Eric All to get some of those yards and those touchdowns? But the yardage has to come up some more. And the passing touchdowns has to come up a lot. So, what was it? 15 passing touchdowns? That needs to be at least 25. It just does. Because you can't count on having Hassan Haskins, who's not here anymore, getting 20 touchdowns. You got to get some passing touchdowns, bro. 15 passing touchdowns is unacceptable. That's unacceptable. I don't care what you want to say. Unless we running it every single time like we Georgia Tech or somebody. And I bet they quarterback might have had more passing touchdowns than that. I might look that up. Excuse me, y'all. I'm getting over a sinus infection, but that's what I got for this one, y'all. To me, you got to start JJ to maximize all this talent on offense, which this is a lot of talent. And a lot of guys that can get deep, and they're just good football players for the most part. But that's what I got on this one, y'all. My voice is starting to go out, so I'm going to get off of here. But that's what I got on the receivers and the quarterback situation. So, because you can't talk about the receivers without talking about the quarterback, because it just don't make sense. So that's why I was a little bit longer, but like, share, subscribe, and as always, go blue.
It's great to be a Michigan Wolverine. It's great to be A Michigan Wolverine is great.